We are talking about the AMC and GME with Trey's trades. If you guys are just joining us here, Trey has just hit 150K. That was one of the conditions that I buy $1,000 of AMC. However, I actually hedged that bet. I actually bought it yesterday, which means lucky for me, I'm already up. I'm already up a significant amount, so I feel good about that. What do you think about the hedging in general? So delta hedging and gamma squeezes ultimately are going to be the first part of the booster rocket. When does that
Oh,
going to
dude,
happen? And
it's game changing. You're spot on the money. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
oh,
but
for sure.
delta hedging is interesting because I think this is where some of the failure to delivers are coming into play. So you remember when we had those like 140,000 or 150,000 call options that expired in the money when we closed over $8?
Right.
When that happened, I didn't see any sort of volume come in that would have indicated that those were actually hedged prior or after, right? I mean, maybe we had a little bump where it hit like 850 or something, I think on Wednesday, but that still didn't add up to the amount of shares that should have been purchased back for those call options that expired in the money. So my hypothesis is they didn't purchase those from the market. They created IOUs and sent those out to people. And that's what's interesting about this delta hedging is I don't think they're keeping up with it. So when it actually gets backlogged, right, you fix this supply and demand issue, it's going to ram the stock price because, I mean, fact of the matter is, the rules of the market are the rules of the market. The shares that need to be hedged still need to be hedged, right? They need to exist. They need to be accounted for. The shares that expire in the money still need to be purchased and given to those shareholders eventually. No matter when that time comes, it will eventually happen. So that is crucial. And you're going to know when it happens. I mean, I really firmly believe it hasn't happened yet. I do not think it's happened because you'd see it reflect in the price action. I mean, we haven't seen huge influxes of millions of shares. The volume actually, up until recently, the last couple of days, has been kind of flat for both for AMC and GameStop, you know? So that's going to be monumental. That delta hedging and that gamma squeeze is what's going to lead to that short squeeze because it's going to cause some panic. And it's an endless loop that can continue to feed into itself. As long as there's interest in call options, that delta hedging and the gamma squeeze potential can pretty much infinitely grow until that short squeeze begins and shorts start to cover their positions.
And most importantly, and people have been asking this, can hedge funds keep kicking the can down the road? Well, if they can't keep kicking it if they get margin called. So is there a price at which a lot of these hedge funds would be at risk of getting margin called? And when can we see an indicator of that happening?
I think that new DTCC rule is going to be a big piece of that. So from what I've read, they made a slight amendment to that just recently. And they basically were saying that these huge clearinghouses, they can be at risk of getting a margin call on a day-to-day basis instead of having that 21-day rule where essentially they can drag out FTDs and margin for basically a straight month of trading. And that's going to be monumental. So you're going to expect to see that pretty much anytime in the near future. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that I saw the date in which that new DTCC rule will be enacted is on the 15th. So from that date on, I would say the way that shorts can play the market and institutions kind of backhand stocks is going to change a lot. And when there's a lot of risk in stocks, I think it's going to speed up the rate at which squeezes happen. So that's my take on that. But you let me know what you think. You're definitely you're the data scientist, my man.
So DTCC new ruling for the simplest of apes out there, the simplest explanation, as I understand it, is currently there is leeway for a person who has shorted a stock in order to have a certain amount of time that they can wait to make the situation better if they are in a bad position. So far, the DTCC doesn't want to hold the bag anymore. They're just an organization out there, so they're not a governing body, but they are going to make these people who sell shorts turn in their homework, not only on a day-by-day cadence, so they could at any day go ahead and tell them turn in our homework right now, but they cap an hour to do exactly what the DTCC wants them to do, which is pay up, buddy. And the amount that they will have to pay is proportional to how far the price of the stock has gone away from the original short price. And that is huge because as the price continues to go, that amount of money that the hedge funds are going to have to cough up is going to get greater and greater. So with that understanding, people have been calling that this AMC and GME Final Fantasy event is once in a lifetime, because now the DTCC and other bodies like this are changing their rules. We might never see another squeeze like this again. What do you think about that?
I think it's legit, man. I really, really do because, well, I mean, we've been talking about it this whole time. This is literally making history. There are going to be so many new regulations, and that DTCC rule is the first of what I think will be many. It's going to change the way the market works forever, not only to mitigate the losses of hedge funds, right? Because they run the market. We all know it, right? They want to make sure they're making money and the 99% stays the 99%. That's going to change forever. And there's going to be new rules that protect retail investors. So you're gonna watch that as well. I think you're spot on the money. I really do think that you'll never see an opportunity like this again. I think this is going to be bigger than the Volkswagen squeeze in terms of the proportion and the gains that come from it. It's going to be. I'm honestly, it's cool to be on that side of history, to be able to talk about the cause. You know.